Our research question is, to what extent were Dr. King's civil rights speeches and nonviolent strategy of protest similar to Mahatma Gandhi's method of resistance?
Mahatma Gandhi was known to his many followers as Mahatma, or the Great Souled One. He began his activism as an Indian immigrant in South Africa in the early 1900s, and in the years following World War I, he became the leading figure in India's struggle to gain independence from Great Britain.
Young Gandhi was a shy, remarkable student who was so timid that he slept with the lights on even as a teenager. In the ensuing years, the teenager rebelled by smoking, eating meat, and stealing change from the household servants. After Gandhi finished secondary school, Gandhi went to college for law and soon after became a lawyer.
Gandhi's methods of protest were satyagrahas, a form of peaceful and nonviolent protest. Also, Gandhi led massive boycotts to protest. Gandhi turned the independence movement into a massive organization, leading boycotts of British manufacturers and institutions representing British influence in India, including legislators and schools. The independence movement was a movement that Gandhi helped create to grant India its freedom from Great Britain, which was ruling over them at the time.
In January 1948, Gandhi carried out yet another protest, this time to bring about peace in the city of Delhi. On January 30th, 12 days after the protest ended, Gandhi was on his way to an evening prayer meeting in Delhi when he was shot to death by Nartham Godse, a Hindu fanatic enraged by Mahatma's efforts to negotiate with Jinnah and other Muslims.
After the Labour Party took power in Britain in 1947, negotiations over Indian Home Rule began between the British, the Congress Party, and the Muslim League. Gandhi strongly opposed partition, but he agreed to his hopes that after independence, Hindu and Muslims could achieve peace internally. Amid the massive riots that followed partition, Gandhi urged Hindus and Muslims to live peacefully together and undertook a hunger strike until riots in Calcutta ceased.
In 1934, Gandhi announced his retirement from politics, as well as his resignation from the Congress Party, in order to concentrate his efforts on working within rural communities. Drawn back into the political fray by the outbreak of World War II, Gandhi again took control of the INC, Indian National Congress, demanding a British withdrawal from India in return for Indian cooperation with the war effort. Instead, British forces imprisoned the entire Congress leadership, bringing an Anglo-Indian relations to a new low point. Finally, on August 15, 1947, Great Britain granted India its freedom, but split India into two countries, India and Pakistan.
Martin Luther King Jr. was a Baptist minister and civil rights activist who had a seismic impact on race relations in the United States, beginning in the mid-1950s. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia. In his youth, Martin Luther King Jr. went to many different public schools, including David T. Howard Elementary and Washington High School. In 1948, King earned a sociology degree from Morehouse College and attended the liberal Crozer Theological Seminary in Chester, Pennsylvania. He thrived in all his studies and was valedictorian of his class in 1951 and elected student body president.
Martin Luther King got involved to bring greater equality to America and ensure civil rights for all people, regardless of race. Martin Luther King Jr.'s first major protest was the Montgomery bus boycott, where he led a nonviolent peaceful protest after Rosa Parks was arrested on December 1, 1955. Martin Luther King Jr. had many thoughtful speeches. One of them was the March on Washington protest, the most famous speech that had the most famous words, "I had a dream." Another one was the Montgomery bus boycott, which really introduced Martin Luther King Jr. to the world for everyone to know.
The March on Washington speech protested about freedom as always and about jobs for black people. The Montgomery bus boycott protested about discrimination as always and protested about colored people sitting on buses.
but all of his speeches were fighting for equal rights for everybody.
On October 14, 1964, Martin Luther King Jr. was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in the field of human rights for influential leadership of the civil rights movement and faithful commitment to achieving racial justice through nonviolent action. He was awarded a gold medal, a Nobel diploma, and $53,000. 4 years later, he was shot by a white racist, James Earl Ray.
Martin Luther King looked up to Gandhi. In 1955, King began his struggle to persuade the U.S. government to declare the policy of racial discrimination in the southern states. The racists responded with more violence towards blacks. The two social justice pioneers had a very similar way of protest. Gandhi always protested nonviolently and peacefully, and so did Martin Luther King Jr. They both protested with their words, never actions. They both quoted scriptures from their God. They both kept trying after having multiple hardships. They both fought for racial discrimination for the people, and in the end, they were both successful in their protest.
This project represents breaking barriers because even though these people didn't know each other formally, they both fought for racial discrimination and broke barriers, getting equal rights and freedom for their people.
Our thesis statement was, Dr. King's strategies were very similar to Mahatma Gandhi's, because they were both fighting for some kind of discrimination and they were both fighting non-violently.